You know, a lot of people tend to say that Frank Miller should just stop, and there's good reason for it. Dark Knight Returns 2, especially Holy Terror. But I think this is the comic where even Frank is trying to say, stop. Even Frank Miller is trying to say, stop, Frank. This is him subconsciously saying to himself, we need to stop, okay? No. So, yes, this is going to be my review of DC's Black Label, Superman Year 1. Thank God this is not in continuity. That's, first off, right at the gate, thank God this is not in continuity. Also, if you're wondering, did I buy this? No, I read it offline. Because, as much as I was curious to see Frank Miller's full take on Superman, you know, the one guy who should not write Superman, I was curious in the way of, like, how you want to see a car crash happen. Like, you want to look away, but you can't because you want to see how bad the damage is. And I can honestly tell you guys, this, in just 3 books, wow. This is very clear that Frank Miller just does not give a fuck anymore. This is the pinnacle of Frank giving no fucks. No fucks Frank. Yeah. That's what we should call him now. No fucks Frank Miller. Because he gave none writing this book. So fucking evident. Where do I begin? Oh, let's start with... So this is a three-part book. 3 books that make one big collection. And honestly, they all feel really disjointed. Especially the 3rd book. Like, you can make the argument for books 1 and 2, like, they could be connected, but book 3? Oh, I've got some things to say about book 3, but we'll get to that when we get to that. But really, there's not much Frank Miller could do in terms of a Superman origin story that hasn't been done already. In fact, I mean, he does do a few things differently, but they just feel Frank Miller-y. I'll get to that. But yeah, there's literally nothing you can do with Superman's origin that you cannot do a retelling of. And Frank tries to do something different, but it just feels Frank Miller-y. Like, if you want a reason as to why this is Black Label, a good reason is Frank Miller has an attempted rape scene on Lana Lang. Yeah. Some guys roofie her, and then try to rape her in a cornfield. And I got a feeling, if it wasn't for Bat Dick in Batwing in Batman Damned by Brian Azzarello, I have a feeling this probably would have been a lot worse had it not been for the censorship. So, thanks, Batman Damned, you piece of shit comic? Whatever. So yeah, Lana gets nearly raped because, of course, it's Frank Miller. Did you think he was going to be kind to women? Ha! Ha! Him having respect to women. That's a good one. Anyway. Where was I going? Oh yeah. So yeah, there's literally nothing he does differently except one thing, and it's Clark going to the Navy SEALs. Him joining the Navy. And I'm like, why do you have a man who's so against war go off to fight it and whatever? So the whole thing is him training, and he keeps hearing this voice every time he goes in the Navy SEALs and does the close quarter combat training, and he keeps hearing the sergeant saying, kill him, do it, kill him. And then he realizes, oh, it's not the commander saying it, it's my own subconscious demanding I kill somebody. And I'm like, wow, good job, Frank. I didn't think you could go any lower, but making Superman think he's crazy and wanting to murder someone against his own subconscious, good fucking job. I didn't think you'd go any lower than the barrel, but you just keep breaking expectations, don't you, Frankie? So, yeah, also, Superman fucks a mermaid. Yeah, like, for some goddamn reason, like, Clark has this obsession with a mermaid that he encounters during his time in the Navy, and he falls in love with her and goes to Atlantis, not seeing Aquaman, but sees Poseidon, and Poseidon's convinced, oh, this guy wants to rule the kingdom, and even Superman's like, yeah, the ruling the kingdom would be cool, but I just want to get that mermaid poon. And they don't explain why, they don't talk about why Superman suddenly fell for her. They don't even, like, hint that maybe she's manipulating Superman. No, it's like, no, she generally is in love with this man. And yes, I'm fully aware that there was a time in the Golden Age comics where Superman did have a love interest who was a mermaid before Lois Lane. I am fully fucking aware of that. But, yeah, I don't know if but that's a real deep cut. That is... Even I had to force myself to remember that deep cut in Superman lore. So was that Frank being like, hey, look at me, I'm bringing up some Golden Age shit. Yeah. You know what else you brought up in here? Batman. So, ugh. And yeah, they do nothing with the whole Superman in the Navy thing. Like, they don't, it doesn't go with the whole, oh, Superman's at, in a place of war, and Superman doesn't want to kill, and he doesn't kill, but they don't go too... Frank doesn't bother going too deep into it, of him having an effect of watching... of him being in a Special Forces unit, and him watching other people die, and him rescuing one of the terrorists, and, yeah, if you're wondering, yeah, of course the terrorists are Middle Eastern, because... it's Frank Miller. What do you... were you expecting anything... were you expecting something different? Especially after Holy Terror? I think not. So, yeah. Also, they throw around some really racial slurs here and there because Miller. That's all I gotta say, because Miller. But even then, when Frank doesn't explore the whole thing of Superman in wartime and what have you, this, he tried something different, but it failed, obviously. It failed completely. But it's not until book 3 when you realize, man, Frank did not give a shit making this book. And I'll tell you why. When we get to book 3, because now he's Superman, and he fights Batman. Hang on, stop me if you've heard this. He fights Batman, because of course, Batman has to be in a Frank Miller book. We gotta ride that Batcock and more. And then Wonder Woman comes in and breaks up the fight. Stay with me now, because the real enemy they have to team up and fight against is Lex Luthor. I feel like I've not read this in a comic, but I think I've fucking seen this before in a garbage-ass movie a couple years back that I nearly fell asleep in. If only I could remember that BVS piece of shit. Oh well. That book, that whole book, was just a comic, I can't even, I don't even need to explain the third book of Superman Year 1, because if you want to know what it is, just go watch Batman vs. Superman. Just go watch Batman v Superman. That's literally the whole third arc of the book. That's literally the whole third, and also Wonder Woman makes out with Superman because, yeah, of course she does. And she hasn't, even met Superman. This is her first time apparently meeting Superman, and she's already, enthralled by him. And that's the thing, there's no romantic build-up or anything for all these people. It's just, oh, everyone just wants Supercock. The Mermaid, Wonder Woman, Lois. There's no romantic build-up here. And were you expecting romance in a Frank Miller comic? Especially modern-day Frank Miller comic? Ha 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 ha. These jokes are funny. So, there's literally nothing here that, the only thing that is really different is, oh, Superman joined the Navy, and he joined the Navy, he joined the SEALs, and he did wet work shit. We didn't do anything with it, but fuck that. Ugh. Guys, like I said, if there was a comic that proved that, that's the thing, is not only is this bad, it's boring, and it's so, it's so Frank Miller saying, I don't want to do this anymore. So, I don't even know what he's, I have no expectation for the Golden Child. I have no expectations for that. I haven't had expectations for Frank Miller since, DK2, Dark Knight Returns 2. I haven't had, and, yeah. This is just not even there's some bad moments in here and moments that made you go, ugh, really, Frank, you had to do this? But the biggest thing is, it feels like this comic, he didn't even try. That's the worst of it. It felt like he didn't fucking try. So, why should I even bother reading the other books that he's gonna come out with? I don't know, guys. It's confusing to me of how far a writer of Frank Miller's caliber fell from grace. And granted, there are other cases of writers falling from grace and losing touch with time. But Frank's fall, he fell hard. Like, he hit the ground and just went all the way to the opposite side of the world. Like, that's how far he fell, guys. So, ugh. Anyway, so if you've read Superman Superman Year One, comment below. Let me know what you thought of it. Did you guys like it, hate it? Comment below, let me know. And once again, hope you all enjoyed this, and I'm out.